jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show. It's the jacked up review show.
Join us as we cover many an insane movie and numerous cult TV phenomenons. Are you ready to get jacked up? Are you with us? Then listen on.
Listener discretion is advised. It's a jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show.
And we're back with another special episode. And I brought good pal and former coworker of mine, Billi G. Meskel. How you been, sir?
Been great, man. You know, beautiful days.
Yeah. It's a beautiful day in a toxic place. There you go. Yeah, we just had I talked about getting Billy on the show, and it's like, well, fuck. Here's a show I know he watched. Hell, he told me, he insisted I watch it after years of just seeing ads for it. It was always on after House or 24, and lo and behold, it's the entire series of Prison Break, and often described by its creator as a mix between shows like 24 and The Fugitive. It's just always been just kind of a cult show, just always the break in, break out, break in, break out, and it has launched so many cast and crew members' careers, and it's interesting how basically as a whole this show lasted 5 years, and we'll get there. But we're just gonna overall, just like everything I do on this podcast, I try to not just stick with just the typical stuff. Like I always try to break down various cult stuff, lesser talked about material, why it kind of made a big impression with its respective crowd, would it still be worth revisiting in today's era, and then just move on from there. How did you get into this? Where you were kind of a big drama, action, gangster movie fan, weren't you? So
I guess you can say that.
and I know you were into Sons of Anarchy. I was into stuff like all the Law and Orders and Criminal Minds and
Bro, is that any good, by the way? It's always when we watch it. It's like
depends on who you ask. I think you might dig it just because the federal agent guys are so smart, and the criminals are kind of similar to the ones on this show. But I mean, I was already Prison Break was pretty much very much like 24, and 24 is just like, it's a perfect James Bond, Rambo, Die Hard mashup all in one. And it's where it was binge worthy before there was such a thing with Netflix and all, and that's why that was a hit. And with this show, it premiered in 2005. It won all these various choice awards for favorite new TV drama. Wentworth Miller got a Golden Globe nominee. It all these just actors' careers just flat out took off, and it's just very intriguing how so many of them just absolutely just are remembered for it. They're recognized in public. They've gone to conventions. They've done the rounds. And I do really have to say, I thank you very much for just encouraging me. Just get off my ass and just binge this all on Hulu. And
you watch it on Hulu?
I did, like, last 3 years. Were you watching this live when it first premiered?
No, I got into it like in 2012. Like,
okay.
somebody suggested it, and we started You're watching it.
So for years after it come out, you just rented the DVDs or bought
It
them
was
cheap.
Netflix at the time.
Oh, it was okay. So it was
Yeah.
on there, perfect. And
It was.
yeah, I saw it offered,
Great.
and it was weird. It was like every other show in high school and even junior high, I was hearing people talk about, and this was really, really edgy. Like they were showing it after 9 or 10 because it did have some very gruesome moments, and language was tame. Sexual innuendo was pretty tame as well, but I mean, yeah, for the most part, I mean, I just looking at parts of it, I'm like, yeah, there's no way I'm going to try and convince my folks to let me watch that show. It's just like, yeah, it's going to be a little too much, but yeah, I got into it, and uh, with your suggestion, and it was weird. It was because I'd always heard some people just swear by it because they would just always recognize the actors, and it was kind of similar to, I guess, it just appealed to just anyone who was into anything like action, crime, mystery. So I was seeing some people mention it in the same sentence as Burn Notice, and even not CSI Miami, but just other just kind of just escapist kind of shows. Just but so many people would talk about how it was. Some people would compare it to Lost. I think you could definitely compare.
That's pretty awesome, but I don't know if you can compare those two.
Yeah, it's a stretch for me.
Yeah.
I would compare some of these villains kind of to X-Files, and X-Files was definitely another one where, depending on which crowd you talk to, good luck. Most people kind of knew it more for, oh yeah, that show was a big hit at one point. And this is where, unless the show's like on Showtime or HBO or one of those pay satellite channels, a lot of critics aren't really keeping up with these. So it was just kind of like, I think they lost track of it and its audience. Much like, I'm going to keep comparing this to 24 because they're just very similar cast and crew and styles. But I mean, it's kind of around the same time where I just saw so many people as like swear by it. Oh, you got to see it. First season's a blast. I've never seen such a smart, thrilling, emotional show. And then by season 2, I saw some people saying not as fresh, but still pretty cool. And then by that, I just saw so many people either still talking about it, but not as much, or trash talking the shit out of it. And I was like, geez, I'm not sure I want to get into it. And fortunately, by this point, I've stopped taking second opinions. I've just started just saying, you got to just go with your gut instinct. You got to just give everything a fair shot, because people like to just, I don't know, give either what's on their mind and write everything off, or just some stuff just ages better over time. But it seemed like this was such a big cult thing that people were still talking about it. And fortunately, I was keeping up with, I'm just always just kind of a big TV addict. I just would play occasional video games with friends and my brother, and I would, my father and mother were always educating me on classic movies and music, but I was still having to do a lot of my own homework to find some of the just kind of newer stuff and educate them, vice versa on that. So I've always been a film buff. This was produced for, Fox Television, and it was by Original Film, which, is best known for doing the SWAT reboot movies, as well as the new TV show with Shamar Moore. And they're probably better known for the main moneymaker, that is the Fast and Furious shows. But despite having some of the same casting crew and kind of similar crime escapism, this show I cannot anywhere say is anywhere near lowbrow, if you follow me. Because I mean, this has a lot of, implausibility, but it's pretty organized. It creates its own world versus, we're gonna all ram our cars into each other, video game style.
Need to go back and watch it again to refresh some of my memory on that, because that was really such a really good show at the time I watched it, and I missed a few episodes between the time where they went to the jail. Where was it? Or somewhere in South America.
Yeah, season 3. And
Yeah.
it's funny you bring that up. That was the only time where I had trouble keeping up with a few things because as we'll go on, one of the supporting villains who they have to entrust totally threw me off. And I was just like, whoa, okay. He did what? And what's funny is I had a few other friends come over and family friends as well as a pet sitter come over one time, and they had all seen the show at one point. So the next thing you know, they just are like stop doing what they're doing and just follow up on the show with me. I'm like, whoa, okay, you know this better than me. I thought I was caught up.
Mhm.
It is definitely it was definitely works for today's audience still. I think because it is all about the whole well, it also it's this is where every show has to be pretty much serialized. It can't be a one-off and done thing. And if it's a standalone storyline, you still got to have like the supporting subplots that connect the next 5 episodes and all that. It was a big deal when before I was doing extra work in Dallas, Texas, because it was actually filmed various areas, especially around season 3 and 4. They filmed a lot of stuff here, and so that would have been around 2007, 2009. So that was a big deal back then. That was back when they had the film incentives before they said, well, we're not interested in having you know entertainment that doesn't it was a political argument for the state, but it was also just utter bullshit. But it was cool while it lasted, and I think what's interesting about this show is much like Breaking Bad, and don't get me wrong, these are both totally different tones and
Yeah.
moods.
I watched that right after Prison Break.
Yeah, no, and don't get me wrong. More likely than not, you'll probably like both because they're both kind of very collected, very have multiple criminal characters you can follow. Uh, but it's very intriguing how it's been compared to other stuff like conspiracy stuff like the original uh, Manchurian Candidate. It's also been compared to The Great Escape. Um, I definitely feel like it was successful because instead of trying to be like every other prison movie, it wanted to take it a step further. I mean, here you have, it opens up. You got a main character, Lincoln, who's an engineer. He's brilliant. He's smart ass, and he's unexpected. Next thing you know, he's just framed himself for a crime. He's just forged a bank robbery, so to speak.
Right.
He's like engaged to a fiance of his, and he's just found out his older brother, who we find out in future episodes is actually, uh, going to be his adopted brother. But by the time as we're starting, he's his brother. He's his older bro, and I mean, he's just done an unforgivable thing. He's killed the vice president, and I know, in today's day and age, we're all just like, yeah, fuck all politicians. But yeah, at this point,
Right.
it's a big deal because he's a more troubled brother, and the it's going to be hard for anyone to just believe that you can just forge a videotape and make it look like someone didn't actually shoot it. But yeah, and lo and behold, as we go on, we're in this Chicago set, Fox River Penitentiary, and obviously this is also a lot of people like to be killjoys about this and act like that's not what it really looks like and all that. It's just like, good God, people. In this universe, this is Batman. It's just escapism, people. Just go with it.
Right.
Okay, scenario: it's a super prison, and there's no doubt that this definitely inspired movies like Escape Plan with Arnold and Stallone. But yeah, it's a super prison, and instead of just being like The Last Castle or even Shawshank Redemption, it just kind of goes a little further in just the prison tropes and just saying. I mean, years ago there was an excellent HBO show called Oz that was kind of like this, but this this isn't an experimental like this, but this is a interesting counterpart, because that one is filmed more like a documentary style, like the Law and Order shows and The Wire, and this one is just filmed uh, very music video esque, but in a way better way, and it helps that the prison guards kind of have their own mentality going on, and you have all this outside stuff going on as well that's equally fascinating. It never drags. It never feels like, what the hell does that have to do with anything? You know instantly what it has to go with. And so, yeah, Lincoln has a girlfriend and a former childhood gal pal and Veronica, who has decided to become his lawyer. And she's got to figure out, whatever it is, even if he did do it, I still don't believe it. And that creates a cool driving force. It just kind of hammers it instead of just being like, oh, melodrama. It really kind of just brings a little extra leverage, so to speak. And it also just helps that Memento style, our main character, Mike, who has framed himself, has tattooed the whole plans, on these indecipherable tattoos that only he knows what they mean. And he's explaining them. We got this crooked prison guard, when is there not, a correctional officer named Brad, and he's going around, he's beating everybody, by the balls. And then we got, Teabag. Yes, that's his nickname. Theodore Bagwell, who is basically every single despicable thing you can do. They mentioned that he's like a psychopath, rapist, redneck. I think they even said that he touched dead bodies at one point, just utter fucked up shit. And as we go on, probably one of the most emotional episodes is him flashing back to when he was abused as a kid. And it's another rare instance of just seeing a despicable character and feeling sorry for what they become. And it's like, okay, not that just the first thing to do it, but it was interesting. The show keeps track of all the people in the prison. It does a good job of staging. Staging just refers to where everyone is in the scene. And you never lose track of where everyone is, or just say, whoa, where the hell did everyone else go? And it's definitely not an exploitation movie. You could say there's some B movie elements, but it's never to the point where you just feel like it's a really bad 80s movie. Although it would have been interesting if it had been a 80s TV show. And then probably the most relatable character on this show is the character Ben Miles, who is mainly known as C-Note. He is a former soldier who's been framed for a crime by his crooked, military squad. I can never remember if it's the Marines or, the Navy, but whatever, they show him getting framed. He later gets blackmailed. He blackmails Mike to join his escape team, but he overall is the most relatable because, unlike anyone else, he didn't do anything fucking stupid. He didn't ask to be here. He didn't, do anything wrong. He didn't kill anyone. And I think that helps too. There are many moments where so many characters go without having to actually kill anyone. And then there's other ones where it's like, they're just like, yep, it's unavoidable. I'm going to have to fucking kill you.
Right. Yeah. No brainer. Like, yeah.
It's a no brainer. And so season 1 just flies like no tomorrow. What's your general impressions on this? Just how did you ever just say, hey, this is derivative, or this is original, or just this is just something else? I can't describe it. It's just, I can't take my eyes off it.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, felt like it was ahead of its time, And nowadays I watch shows like there's nothing original anymore. Every kind of scenario you think of, it's already been done. It's kind of hard to make something.
Yeah,
that has been done before. But Prison Break, for its time, it was one of those that was a little bit complex, and it makes you want to keep watching it. Like,
it says a lot because this went for development hell really, really bad. Like 2 years before it actually got greenlit. Spielberg, yeah, that's right. Steven Spielberg was attached to it at one point. And, Fox just kept pushing around, not knowing what to do with it. But then when finally their other show, 24, is having a lot of success, and then, Lost is taking off, they're like, you know what?
Lost
Yeah,
was nice too.
all good. I could never get into Lost, but I liked a lot of the actors on this. And it's funny you bring that up because many of the actors on that one end up coming on this at one point or another, just like the Man in Black. Actor Titus Welliver has like a brief season 4 role as this one contact, only to be shotgunned later. So yeah, this is all set in a prison. I can't recommend it enough if you just want some kind of diehard escapism, kind of just bald guys run around somewhat barefoot, and just playing a bit of mind games and such. It's definitely going to appeal. The prison escape itself does pay off because there's just, it knows how to just kind of outline, just get from step 1 to step B. Step 1 is get these guys to join the escape crew. Step 2 is do this other part. Obviously it's not going to be just a dig a hole. It's actually going to be just more, we got to meet at this area, try and, get something from this crooked guard. Got to convince this other guy. And by the way, we're going to ditch him because he's such a psycho. There's just no way we can make him be part of the escape crew. I'm going to strangle him before I get out of this damn cell. And it's also very intriguing because, at one point, I think Mike, gets like a toenail, like he loses a toe. They get one of those ratchets. I'm like, holy shit, that cannot be good. And they downplay it the next, but he's limping. And I'm like, yeah, no wonder. It's very, this is definitely a show you could definitely watch every 3 to 5 years and just not get sick of.
We'll return after these messages.
Hey, feeling down? Feeling low? Not enough podcasts about movies in your life? Why not try
They must be destroyed on sight.
the new Podcast Cure-All? Sure to get you right with the world and on a path to better living. We have exploitation, we have Italian horror, we have zombies, we have slashers, we have crime films, we have spaghetti westerns, we even have sci-fi and sex comedies. So take a dose of
They must be destroyed on sight.
as needed and let the hosts, Lee Russell, Daniel Harper, Paul Romali, and the odd guest host cure what ails you.
Warning, may cause atrophy, African consumption, black fever, bone shave, chin cough, colic, cramp colic, dropsy of the brain, elephantitis, grocer's itch, jaundice, mania, miasma, mortification, palsy, Pott's disease, rheumatism, scurvy, St. Anthony's fire, summer complaint, and worm fit in some people. Consult a physician before listening.
Hey, I heard you like movies.
I heard you like to hustle.
I heard you like podcasts.
Well, guess what?
There's a podcast for you out there called The Home Video Hustle.
Damn right.
Every Friday, we talk about whatever movie PJ picks out the bag. What does that mean? Every Wednesday on our YouTube page, I put a bunch of movies in a bag, and PJ picks one out at random. And then we just watch it. We talk about it for maybe like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever we feel like doing, wherever the conversation leads us.
But do we actually talk about the movie?
Most of the time. Tangents galore.
Yes.
So believe me, we may be a movie podcast, but it's not always about movies. We may talk about video games,
Music.
Yeah, that's the big one, music. Sometimes we might get a little bit of politicalness in there.
Yes.
Sometimes we may just, we know what we like to do. We like to tell stories, PJ.
Yes.
I am the master storyteller
Yes.
of the podcast realm. Undefeated. So if you like to hear about movies, video games, whatever foolishness comes to our mind, the most random stuff you could think of, check out the Home Video Hustle. You can find us on the Stitchers,
Yes.
the Google Play,
Yes.
Apple Podcasts,
What else?
Podbean,
What else?
Podcast Addict,
Goddamn.
all that. Ain't no reason you can't get your hustle on. We everywhere, worldwide, baby.
Hustle, motherfucking hustle.
Hey, we can't cuss in the promo, PJ.
Ah.
We gotta be family friendly. There may be podcasts out there that don't want his hair say
Ah. Ah.
all
Yeah.
that good fun stuff.
Well, you.
No, don't run the listeners away, PJ.
Ah, I'm sorry.
But this is going kind of long.
Yes.
So we're going to end this and say, hey, check out the Home Video Hustle every Friday on all the various podcast outlets. Peace.
Peace.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. And while Witch didn't make it to the top of the world, he did make the Gangs of Hollywood podcast. So join the gang and enjoy a movie review podcast about movie gangs, gangsters, mobsters, and the mayhem they cause. You can find GOH Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at GOH Pod at www.gohpod.com, as well as your favorite podcast listening app. And remember, say hello to your little friend for me.
If you take two old punk rockers who are past their prime, put them in front of a movie screen and give them a podcast, what do you get? Cinema Punks. Cinepunks. It's the mixtape of movies.
Did you ever see a film at such a young age it left you traumatized with cinematic wounds? Necrophilia. It's a dead issue, man. Don't push it. Cinema Psyops is a weekly podcast documenting an ongoing experiment on the mind of an unwilling test subject.
No one should have to watch this movie.
Oh, no one should have to watch this?
No one should have to watch this movie.
Surprisingly, it's not a topic that a lot of people really want to tackle.
I'm shocked, prudes.
I know, really.
Right?
It's the next sexual frontier that no one wants to explore.
I am, in the most sincerest of senses, disappointed in you.
It takes a powerful goddess like Connie, jam her arm down the monster's throat and kill it. Oh, I'm still tripping out over that. Even as a kid, I was like, I gotta find a girl like that. Every week, I get a new look of disappointment that I never thought I could get out of her.
Unimaginable. At 12 years old, you should not be watching this movie.
Obviously.
At 13, you should not be. 14, you shouldn't be. I'm not entirely sure even 17-year-olds should be watching this.
Just because you're offended by something doesn't mean that you have the right to demand that it doesn't exist. Watching this film again, I had all of this like little nerd glee with everything that kept
little
popping
history
up.
doll popping up
absolutely.
at you.
So I totally loved this film.
Hey, I know why you couldn't see that. It's because your brain's warped from watching this shit at 12 years old.
Yeah, this is a rough movie. I told you ahead of time when we were getting ready to do it that it was
How
going to be a
could you
rough
watch
one.
this shit at 12?
Because physical wounds heal, cinematic ones don't. Listen to Cinema Psyops.
It's time, let's check our queue, baby. Pair it with a couple brews, baby. We love good movies. We love the bad ones too. So we watch them all and pass their lessons on to you. Oh yeah. Everything I learned from movies helps to make life a little bit groovy. With a one-liner plot holes and gratuitous movies. It's time to get busy with your friend Steve and Izzy. At eilfm.podbean.com.
We now continue with our program.
It's very interesting how Sarah, played by Sarah Wayne Callies, yeah, funny how that casting goes, plays the prison doctor. And so that adds an interesting element to it because she's also the daughter of a governor who's overseeing the prison and has his own controversial viewpoints about whether it should be shut down or reinstalled. And there's a bunch of other hostage situations that go on, and I like how the show kind of drags it out without making it boring or 5 episodes too long. they and just the outside stuff, just having the girlfriend lawyer, having to do, hire a private eye, and then she starts getting suspicious of that private eye, played by a young Frank Grillo, years before he was in the Purge movies and Captain America as the Crossbones villain. That was a pretty cool early role for him. And probably one of the few good guy roles I've ever seen him in. Most of the other time, he's just an anti-hero. So, yeah. And so then I guess we're ready to move on to season 2. And don't worry, I'll play plenty of promos in between as segments.
Okay.
So we're out of a prison. We're out in prison. We're out on the run. The 2 brothers and the other guys who survived have to pretty much, go their own ways because they all got their business to tend to. One of their prisoners is Fernando, played by Amaury Nolasco, who's been in movies and shows like Rizzoli and Isles, Transformers, and Street Kings, and one of the Fast and Furious movies. He's always been a pretty intriguing actor to me. He's like part black, part Puerto Rican or Mexican. He's always stolen the show in every movie I've seen him in. I always wished he was a bigger star. He was in the sci-fi movie Criminal even, and pretty good in his brief time as the FBI agent in that. You know who I'm talking about, Fernando? Yeah, okay. So pretty well there, how he's got the dilemma where he was also like the second least biggest offender. He just stole a ring from a jewelry store, and it was an armed robbery, so big offense. Got thrown in the big cell. And lo and behold, this gangster has pretty much trying to marry what was originally his fiance. And so he's got to get her back, and he's also got to ride like hell through like 3 different states on a motorcycle without running out of gas and getting recognized. And so there you go. It's just the stakes keep raising for each character, and his is probably the most complicated. And his storyline goes so fast, and they managed to kind of just do a lot of editing montages. So when some of the familiar tropes and inevitable melodrama sets in, it doesn't feel just like just overblown or just too predictable. It's like, hey, papi, how you doing? There's a bit of that, and the typical Hispanic stereotypes that the various people he meets, but for the most part, it just kind of it goes like clockwork. Is he going to kill this guy? Is he going to just knock him out and then take his girl back? Or, is he going to just, eventually he's pretty much just surprisingly takes a plot twist and just is like, I got to keep her safe. Here's some money. And doesn't he have a baby who's on the way?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, so he's basically the baby daddy. And so it's an interesting subplot because unlike all these other anti-heroes, you just don't ever know what to expect from them. And unfortunately, season 2, I know a lot of people had trouble getting into because there was like another guy who escaped from the prison. What was his name? I had it. Anywho, it's interesting how there's this other guy who's just a stuck-up idiot who's just doing every bad decision you can make, and then there's this other guy who's like a schizophrenic psychopath who's already just killing old people and everything, and just harboring out in the house. And he dies a really tragic death, and that says a lot because every storyline and scene he was in was just annoying the shit out of me. Good actor, by the way. He was also on shows like Grimm. I forget his name. Anyway, yeah. But enter special federal agent Alex Mahone. He's a member of the FBI and presumably working with this company called, well, the company. And they're basically, as season one's gone on, we figure out there's like all these Secret Service agents and other people who have something to do with setting up, Lincoln, the older brother. But the politics really isn't that big a deal. But for the most part, in season one, it was all about the prison, the prisoners, the warden, and the lawyer girlfriend trying to find out some intrigue and mystery. And season two, it pretty much just hits the ground running, pun intended, because like now everyone's got to go, try and get some money, try and get fake IDs, and then they got other things along the way. There's just always obstacles. There's always someone who has too much, it wants to create barriers as well as have just some kind of degree of conflict that, could potentially have happened in real life. And it's like, we got people just recognizing everyone left and right. I would say it's not as tight in terms of the filmmaking style. There's a few different episodes which make you wonder what were they thinking, because they do some awkward, just what was popular at the time, where they just do obvious stunt doubles, jumping off a cliff, slow motion. There's even one episode where it's like they got like the car's gonna explode and they have to like somehow put something on it and then run out of it before it explodes, and they never show it. But I'm like, how the fuck did they do that? And I just let it slip because it's not like they showed me. It was just for more tension, more sweat-inducing, momentum. But yeah, so Brad, the crooked prison guard, has been fired for all his mishaps.
Is that the bald guy?
Yep. Brad. And apparently, like the show, I think the actor actually also lives here in Dallas, Texas. So, yeah, he convinces one of the other crooked guards who initially he bribed to be set up or some shit like that. And the guy just joins him again and says, you know what? Fuck it. Let's work as bounty hunters and go after these guys and make our money back. So they totally lie to their, their ma's and their wives and say, screw it, we're going to work together. And, other twists happen along this way. Mike has his, the main protagonist finds out that his fiance is not who he thought she was, definitely not trustworthy. Teabag finds out some other disturbing secrets and tries to get back with the girlfriend he left behind before she found out he was a serial killer. And tries to get close to his family. So yeah, there's a bunch of other double crosses. Some of them, would you say some of them are a little too much for their own good, and others are just really awesome? Or would you just say, most of the show really doesn't bother me, except just some of the other stuff involving the prisoners just kind of doesn't go anywhere. Like just the supporting ones that aren't part of the main escape crew, but just somehow were able to get out. But despite a rough beginning, I really dig Alex Mahone, the FBI agent, who is pretty much really blurred. Technically, he's a good guy because he's you'd like to think FBI agents are doing their job and doing good. But then he shoots one of the prisoners in cold blood, doesn't even read him as right, just flat out shoots him in the face. And then flat out lies like on the radio, oh, prisoner escaped, shot on sight. It's like that's not what happened.
Right, that's all they do.
Jesus. And lo and behold, he tries to make a getaway when it finds out that he's doing some crooked stuff and all of his other federal agent guys are second guessing him. So he feels unwelcome in the workplace, like there's a mutiny going on. So lo and behold, there's more surprises as it goes on. It ends with well, I'm not sure I want to spoil it, but more political intrigue with the White House. This female president who reminds me of a mix between Nancy Reagan and Hillary Clinton. Just kind of a mix of that. I'm just gonna leave it at that. It's just an unusual gal who clearly isn't pulling all the strings, because no politician ever does, but is very reckless. She could literally order these Secret Service agents to just kill someone, and they would gladly do it. Sarah gets a little more character development here. She is, long story short, finding out that her boyfriend is a Secret Service agent who was supposed to kill her but got too attached. His name is Kellerman.
Okay, yeah. That was interesting.
Yeah, I absolutely despised him when in the first season, and here, he starts pulling more and more strings, and you find out, oh, he wants to kill the Madam President. It's like, well, is he doing that for his own good? Because he's saying all this other cynical stuff. I think he just hates people, and he had no problem killing, many other innocent people before, but, somehow along the way, this gal who he was supposed to kill because, she was the daughter of the governor who they're supposed to influence, he had some feelings for her. And then, of course, she's a doctor. She pays attention to detail, she catches on to nasty shit he's doing, and he tries to kill her. So it's wild how he just keeps flipping, and as it goes on, it gets even more convoluted. I can't ever say I really cared for him as a character, but I mean, you really weren't supposed to. But I mean, after season 2, he's pretty much just in the background. He's mentioned on occasion. And then he, with all these other federal agents, works out a deal with the FBI to pretty much be their number one agent. So, it keeps getting more and more deliberately convoluted, but it's also kind of done in a way where it's like, we got to just keep raising the stakes. So, season 3, and much like 24, this show was hit. It was flat out bitch slapped by the writer's strike of 06-07. No, I think it was more 07-08. And as a result, a lot of shows had a shorter runtime. So yeah, season 3, pretty short runtime. There's only 8 episodes in that whole season. So in other words, I flew through it in about a week, as opposed to 2 or 3 weeks. It was short as hell. And once again, we're back in a prison. Long story short, it's not Mexico they're in. Where are they? They're in, do you remember?
Colombia? I don't know. Somewhere in South America.
Okay. Panama. They're in Panama. Okay, yeah. And ironically, it's kind of a little half and half. Lincoln, the older brother, is outside.
Back in, right?
Trying to stop a kidnapping. Long story short, Michael finds that a lot of guys who could help him with various other things that they need to do to get all the other people trying to kill him off their back are inside the prison. But of course, this is like 5 different war-torn countries inside one giant prison. Seriously. I mean, you got even more racism, even more, my turf wars. You have this mysterious career criminal named James Whistler, played by Chris Vance, who later goes on to be on awesome shows like The Transporter Show and Rosalie and Isles. Very underrated. He's the British dude. You remember? Who's always playing games with Michael?
What was his name on the show?
James Whistler.
Let me see. Hold on. Let me look.
Yeah. Just an absolute shady dude. And he's like either Aussie or British, but I think it's actually the former. But
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So he is a total just wise ass. He is basically, it kind of feels almost like the running man or hard target after a while, because I mean they're flat out playing so many fight to the death games and betting on it. They're getting away with money, and none of the prison guards are even trying to collect it. So this is probably the most implausible of all the seasons, but I kind of dig this scenario a little more because the show is bothering to just change it up, keep it fresh. It knows it's implausible, and they're just like, hey, if you got a problem with this, then just stop watching because we're gonna do some outrageous shit, and you just got to go along for the ride because it's a roller coaster, baby. And this is where a lot of critics started bashing the show, and the fan base was divided. This is definitely one of my more favorite seasons. I know a lot of people thought season 2 was better and season 3 is where it got weak. No, I'm gonna counter that because I don't believe in elitism. I think season 3 is definitely a welcome addition to the whole franchise because I just love how the prison is set up. You have a lot of intriguing new characters because, as I said before, the Whistler guy, it makes sense why he played, the TV version of the Transporter. He just flat out owned the role. He's already wanted for murdering the mayor's son. He's he's done some other shady stuff, and you can tell, he's not honest at all. He's got some other stuff planned. He's just not showing it because he knows how not to. But we, the viewer, know something's going on because it's just too perfect. And this introduces us to Sophia, this other local who she was basically his girlfriend, but then lo and behold, she starts dating Lincoln, older bro, because he saves her from some assholes who were trying to kill her.
Right.
And played by Danae Garcia, who later went to be in the revenge movie Avenge the Crows, the Walking Dead franchise, and just a bunch of other stuff. She's a Cuban actress, and that's right. She was also a guest role on the Benjamin Bratt show, The Cleaner. But yeah, she originally tried to be a James Bond girl, and instead she got a role on this semi-spy prison show. Then we are introduced to female Jason Bourne type assassin herself, Gretchen.
Gretchen.
Blue-haired assassin gal. So she works for the company, and she's played by Jodie Lynn O'Keefe, who's been in every other dating movie of the 90s, the BET show Hit the Floor, Vampire Diaries, but I mainly know her for playing Don Johnson's daughter turned cop, on the show Nash Bridges. But yeah, she was in every other music video, every other model, fashion line. She was hot shit when this show made her career, but she did so much more. And I mean, she was already semi-known, but like it just helped her become even better known. And she is so bad. I don't mean as an actress, but I just mean as a person. Now, in the first few episodes I saw her in, I will say the actress, nothing against her, nothing at all. I will say her acting was a little rough around the edges because it just felt like she just was taking a little while to just kind of dig into the role. And to be fair, I'm sure she didn't know how long the role was going to last, and she was just trying really hard to just kind of go for the emotionless of it. But some of her line readings were a little questionable at first. But no, don't get me wrong. She becomes a way more interesting villain for this show, probably arguably more than Mahone. Because here, Mahone, the FBI, the crooked FBI guy, now he's in anti-hero mode.
Right.
As he tried to kill him, Lincoln and Mike, and failed. He tried to make away with some money, failed. Killed his FBI career, failed. And so believe it or not, Gretchen, the actress, Jodie Lynn O'Keefe, is actually a licensed bounty hunter in real life. Wow. That's something. Yeah, no, I think she's a very cool gal. She's definitely takes acting very serious. You're not going to see her in the 6 o'clock news, doing something inappropriate. That's for sure. And I think that's what I like about many of these actors. A lot of them are just so laid back character actors. They take this serious as both a business and an instance of fun. And they're all just thankful to be on just a TV show that was watched by millions of people. So I think that's what made it really cool. And that's why, we, for most of them, mind you, we don't see any of them. I mean, don't get me wrong, we see their characters on the 6 o'clock news, but the actors themselves were just always on good behavior, I guess. And I think that's just a lot to be said. They were just dedicated to making the best possible show. So, we're also in this season introduced to Lachero, who is basically another. He acts like a dictator, and he's a drug kingpin from Panama, and played by Robert Wisdom, who played the school teacher Bunny on HBO's The Wire. He was also on Burn Notice, and Barbershop 2, and even the movies like Face Off, Dark Knight Rises. So, long story short, good actor. But you see a picture of him so you can reference, or?
Yeah.
Robert Wisdom, yeah. It's never one of those that guy actors, but I guess what's intriguing about him is he just really just gels with this show. This is definitely one of his main roles that I associate him with personally, because he really, at first you think he's the main big bad. Then it just seems like he, now that you know that he has a mutiny among him, it becomes even more intriguing, I have to say. And Teabag's role is even more interesting in this because he flat out just wants to break into this prison and start a new life. He loves the violence. Now, I can't remember. Does he break back into the prison to try and kill Mike and company, or did he get caught by the authorities so he was already there in the prison?
I think he tried to break into the jail.
That's right. Yeah, he has nothing to live for. He tried to get his family back, and of course they're like, we know what you are. You're a monster.
Right.
He's tried to make some money, and it hasn't worked out either. So, he's the most recognized out of all these guys because, he's a scumbag. And, these guys have used him a few different times, but we can't blame them for doing that because the show had to make these anti-heroes relatable in some way, and he's not an anti-hero. He is, a borderline white supremacist, but he is just flat out just gonna kill and rape anything that moves. Now, fortunately, we're spared most of his crimes. The most we're gonna get is just probably like a knife's throat slit or just another impalement, but I think that's what makes Teabag is definitely not the heart of the show, but a scene stealer. Definitely one of my top serial killer characters of all time, because he would flat out give Hannibal and all those other guys a run for their money. He just flat out is just very relaxed, very shameless. He should be shameful, but he's not. He's a psychopath, and he wants a better life, and yet he just kind of just willingly walks into danger. And he's kind of like the Terminator at times because he'll impersonate people and their voices, and that really worked for not only the show but that character, because that allowed not only the actor, himself, um, to just play around and just channel different personas to where if you weren't paying close attention, you'd swear he's bipolar. um, one minute he's got a mustache, the next minute he's got a bit of a shaved head, and he's always just able to implement himself into these other chapters of society. If you didn't know anything about him, you might suspect he's just an average Joe. But, next thing you know, he'll make a threat to you and say, you're going to let me do what I want to do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the actor Robert Nepper has gone into hot water in recent years after accusations from 5 different women.
Oh, wow.
I have heard from actors in Dallas who worked on Prison Break in scenes with him. I'm not going to name their names right off the bat, but they said he was a very lovely soul. I've heard from other people he was very nice and cool. So I just have to shrug my shoulder on this one. There's just not enough info to go on. I don't know if he pissed someone off, he was a method actor, or what. The case that was talked about was very disturbing, almost like something that the character would have done. So Robert Nepper is either being framed or he's a method actor scumbag. So I'm just going to leave it at that. He was perfect casting, and I'm sorry anyone had to have an incident out of this. I hope it's not true. And if it is, well, that sucks. So anyway, how do you think Teabag measures up against other psychopaths like D. Finns from Falling Down or the Joker in The Dark Knight? How do you think he fares?
Yeah, I think he fits right in that spectrum with Joker, and he's very sick in the mind, obviously, because it happens when you're a kid.
I had a little voice, just going at it.
Act like he changed, but he never really does.
Yeah, that's very much true, and I'll definitely get to that when we cover season 5. And it's just so wild how he's always thinking ahead, and then he always, like, I wouldn't say he channels the subplot. He does a little few side missions. To him, everything is a video game. He has 5 main agendas, and he usually accomplishes most of them, which is, maintain a cover, kill someone, who's never been seen by someone else, coincidentally enough, be an imposter, and then, go from there, inherit their wealth. And, here he doesn't have much of anything. So right now he just wants to be, the king bitch in the prison. He doesn't even care. They kind of ignore him a little less in this season, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just there's so much other shit going on, and so here they're just kind of like basically he just wants to take everything this Kingpin has. And we don't really know until the end whether or not he even wants to be head of the prison or not. But I wasn't really surprised one way or another. I mean, it was definitely an interesting prison as a whole, because it's pretty much a typical South American prison. I've never been to a prison, but they go by a lot of they just go by a lot of stereotypes where pretty much every authority figure is on someone's payroll and just letting all the worst shit possibly happen. I like that there was a little diversity to some of the prisoners here. Now, some of them weren't as memorable, obviously, as the first season, but when it gets down to the main fight, I thought it was pretty cool. Especially because, like, at one point, Mike is having to fight this very huge prisoner played by Salo Baker, an actor and stuntman who played Sauron in Lord of the Rings. Has been in other movies like The Kingdom and The Equalizer. You know, the big, tall, bald guy. And yeah, Mike is flat out just losing this fight. He thinks he's gonna fucking die, and next thing you know, Mahone, you know, former crooked FBI agent who couldn't be trusted, comes up and shoots him dead.
Oh yeah, so he saved his ass.
Yeah, and it's like, and it works because now it's like, okay, so this guy values him in some way. Didn't know what he was. We were already used to seeing him take advantage of people and try and basically be a hotshot who took credit for, you know, killing people and or bringing them in. Now he's just pretty much, he wants to get some money and he wants to get out, and he's willingly gonna just go along with them. But yet they're like, okay, we'll go along with you, but we still think you're hiding something. Anything else that stood out to you on this? All I know is near the end, some of the stuff with Whistler, I had trouble keeping up with it. Like, I had to seriously like rewind a few scenes. I was like, whoa, wait, what?
Yeah. Sleepy.
Yeah, unfortunately. So I guess this brings us to season 4. And we're out of a prison again. And sue me, this is my favorite season.
Yeah. Okay.
Most people are going to tell you this is where it jumps the shot. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And yeah, so it gets really really tricky because now they pretty much want to bring it all to a close. They want to just go apeshit. By this point on, there's some other pretty much take down the company. There's this other guy who's been mainly ordering it. He looks like Oliver North, who, if you look him up real fast, was the main scumbag behind the, you know, Iran-Contra war scandal. And I know everyone's like, there wasn't a real war.
I know who that is.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, the general just totally, he evokes that same kind of mentality to me. But if Oliver North had, like, a Pentagon-type job. But here, no, I take it back. Not a Pentagon-type job. This is more like Blackwater, because that's basically what this is. This is a private contracting company. They pretty much are doing all these security gigs with all these former military guys, but they're all actually assassins. And lo and behold, one of the main assassins that terrorizes Mahone and his family is played by Cress Williams, former star also of Nash Bridges and future title role on Black Lightning. This ringing a bell?
Yeah.
Oh, what was that ringing a bell?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so that was pretty startling because this guy is just flat out emotionless. Fortunately, I think this season benefits from just having a full season order. It's like 23, 25 episodes, and it just makes use of every single one. And
were they this long, all of them?
It was pretty long. It was like
23 episodes in one season. That's a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it works because it's able to last a whole year. They're able to. The first season literally picks up right from season 3. Michael is fucking furious and he's going all Punisher. He wants to, you know, get revenge on Whistler, who set him up, and try and kill him or Gretchen. And to make it even worse, all these other FBI people, lo and behold, Kellerman has returned and he's hiring all of them to basically be his own private hacking team. And this is the season that my mother called Discount Mission Impossible. Yeah, now that they're working with all these other, it also reminds me of the TV show version of the Equalizer, kind of, because essentially, yeah, now they're all working as a covert hacking team. Teabag, I think he's cut out of the loop. That's right. He's doing his own shit, and he's formed a pack with Gretchen, and they're basically all just impersonating this one corporate building that has a connection to the company, coincidentally enough. But yeah, they want to take down the company. Yes, that's what it's called, guys. But it's really not as lame as I'm making it sound. It actually works in the show. I really dig the Asian hacker guy. I dig all the other stuff. I dig how Sarah has a little more to do. And Michael is trying to find out, this mother of his, estranged mom of his, who has her own skeletons in the closet, played by Kathleen Quinlan of The Doors and Breakdown fame. Really startling, especially how, isn't she like, she's not married to the general, but basically.
No, I forgot what her involvement was.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Season 2, they briefly reveal Mike's estranged dad, who was also a Secret Service agent, but it's really brief. And here, you pretty much get the whole scoop of it. And she's like, yeah, I divorced your dad. I'm privileged, rich, and I'm part of the company. She's like one of the main people in charge of it. It's like, how terrible. You weren't ever close to, your adopted son. And so you had him be the fall guy. And Mike is like, he cut her off and she felt betrayed, but still, looked over him. Interesting how it all goes. What else about season 4 just stands out to you?
Nothing really.
Dude,
I have to watch that again, but 24 episodes seems to be a stretch for me. I don't know how I was able to watch all of those during that time. It seems like a lot. Was it really that good? I don't really remember that season that well, to be honest with you.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah, it was 22 episodes.
That's when they got right.
To me, it felt like it was 2 seasons that were 12 episodes, and they just combined them together.
Because season 3 was so short.
Yeah, season 3 was 8. I'm wrong. Season 3 was 13 episodes, not 8, but it felt like 8 because it's just so reduced. So yeah, season 4 for me, like the first part of it, I dig because it's just all revenge. And then lo and behold, Whistler is dispatched by some other dill gone sour. And Mahone is part of the hacking team. He's pretty much redeeming himself. And he's trying to get back at... I thought the assassin killed his son, but I was wrong. But yeah, now he's the allies. He's loyal to them. And you would have never thought it. And it's just one of those, somehow he's able to redeem himself after doing just the worst shit to them, trying to hunt them down, pulling a gun on them. And they just kind of just let it slide because they know he's got some good in his heart. And lo and behold, C-Note returns. He's like, this is before he becomes a priest, but now he's roped back into it. He's like blackmailed to be part of the hacking team. Otherwise, they're going to just try.
Wait, he become a priest at the end?
Yeah, remember in season 5, he's a priest.
Oh yeah,
he's a Muslim.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, all good. So, yeah, at this point, Mike doesn't have. He is totally loyal to Sarah. He's got to try and get married to her. And there's some other subplots from season 3 that they just wisely write out because it just would just slow down the momentum of the storyline. And yeah, with this, Sarah, I think, is saying she's pregnant. She thinks she, has his kid or something. And to make it even more complicated, yeah, Michael is like having some other just kind of health issues and everything, and needs some surgery to be performed by the company. So it gets even more tricky because then they pretty much keep him in a house. His mom is just like, you can't leave the house. You got to do everything I tell you to. So there's lots of other psychological mind games. And then near the end, it's just plot twist after plot twist. Here's how we're going to get revenge on the general. Here's how we're going to get revenge on all the other final people part of this giant conspiracy. It's seemingly never ending, and it's like Michael Scofield pretty much is Mike Weston from Burn Notice here. He is flat out always showing up to a courier or exchange meeting and always has like some bomb or death trap set up before they've even gotten there.
Right.
So very well, Mike Scofield kind of, I have to say, he was the main shining star of season 1, but he really, I mean, hats off to Wentworth Miller for portraying him as a ever-changing character. Season 4, he's just like losing his mind at the start and not able to think straight until a bunch of other people just talk some sense into him. And then, he's getting his shit together and realizing the person he held dear to him at one point, his mother, is responsible for all the pain in his life. Stuff like this really didn't work when they did it on 24, coincidentally almost around the same time as season 6. But here it really worked for me because I just knew he had enough of a mysterious past, so I was able to accept that this was just a real cesspool, a real shitty family. Just fucking everyone over. So yeah, I bought into it. Anything else just stick out to you? Just like some of the heists, some of the other just crazy plot twists. Like the general, I thought he was never going to get killed, and lo and behold, he's just like, yeah, he's not even in control. Like he's having to ward off a bunch of other people being in a mutiny. Lo and behold, they end up making Brad, the former crooked correction guard. He was kind of just minding his own business, and then in season 3, he's just kind of in the background, just keeping an eye on everybody. Here, he pretty much redeems himself by sacrificing himself. Something you never, and you never thought you would see that at all. You just, why would it happen? And it's like, by this point, he's pretty much, he just wants to be, he's given up on his life and he just wants his freedom. He, and
sacrifice himself for what? I mean, I was him to do that, like him especially.
Now, ironically, actor Wade Williams, who's been in many movies by Michael Mann, and ironically, he plays the Warden in The Dark Knight Rises, which is definitely a direct nod to his role on this. I remember him also as like one of Will Smith's, Muhammad Ali's trainers in the Muhammad Ali movie from 2001. So he's always been a reasonable character actor, and I think he also, if I'm not mistaken, he's the priest on the Bernie Mac show, and and he later ends up also guest starring on Grimm. He's also on the racial Civil War drama Mercy Street, which was PBS's first scripted show, which is also excellent. And yeah, he's done some other video game voiceovers like Gun, Hitman, and Chronicles of Riddick games. But yeah, this is definitely a role that got him on the map, and he's all the better for it. The actor, ironically, did not want to be in this role at first because at the time he had a 4-year-old daughter, and he just found the character just absolutely despicable, and he didn't want to be typecast as various, more bad guys. But he took it after his agent persuaded him, and it paid off. I think a lot of people know what he's like and how he's cool. He's also in the first season of 24 as one of Jack Bauer's former Special Forces Delta Force contacts who gets killed. So yeah, here, that was just the ultimate, another big turning point. But the mazes they have to go through on here are just so unreal, and in the best possible way. Like, they're just unusual stuff. It's like the writers pretty much, instead of just running out of ideas, they just put guns to each other's heads and just said, keep walking, keep writing. And it's like, do not make this ever run out of steam. Now, I can understand why some people just felt it's just too unrealistic for me. For me personally, while season 1 is way easier to swallow, I just knew that just with the Secret Service angle and just just from season 1 alone, when they are barely able to stop, Lincoln from being executed, in the death chamber. I mean, I knew that they were going to eventually go implausible. I'm okay with implausibility as long as you're in on it, on the joke. If I feel like you're just pulling it out of your ass, then I lose interest. I really do. I know. And I think there's a lot to be said. Like, Burn Notice also lost me after a while. It's still fun junk food, but like, it was just too silly. And I mean, did you ever see the show Chuck?
A little bit of it.
Yeah, see, that was another one where I really liked the first 3 seasons, and then season 4 is just kind of filler, and then 5 lost me. I didn't really watch much of the series finale, but don't get me wrong, the show really does hold up and is just a rare kind of just pleasure food, I call it. Just very amusing. And this show, I think its implausibility is why it works the way it works. It really, instead of just, and Gretchen's storyline gets even more twisted here for her, because like, she's got a sister. I think they imply that she's gay, and she's got a daughter, and she doesn't ever redeem herself. Don't get me wrong, but it's interesting how they make her be kind of part of the hacking crew. Eventually, they all force her to work for them, and then an exchange goes wrong, and they leave her for dead. She's totally forgotten about the rest of the season. So, I guess what really, I wouldn't say is a downstep, but an obstacle that kind of wasn't necessarily needed is the Homeland Security agent Donald Self, played by actor and comedian Michael Rappaport.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, from 6th Day, Deep Blue Sea, Copland, Higher Learning, and and Friends even. Yeah, so there you go. He was also on My Name Is Earl, and yeah, he's just one of those that guy actors, and I've never had an issue with him. I always thought he's been really good at just one of the few comedic actors who's been good at just playing different roles, let alone serious roles. So when I saw, this funny guy appearing in serious stuff, I was cool with it because I knew, well, and it just goes a long way when you can actually make that pay off. Like there are some actors who can do that because they're awkward, they've already had messed up lives, they can portray that. But no, I did not see his betrayal at all. He's like a Homeland Security guy. He teams up with the gang, you know, to take down the company, and then turns out he's in it for his own self-worth. He's a crooked agent too. So it's like, geez, these federal agents, they need to start background checking people. haven't had any mysterious, suspicious arrests in the last 20 years. I definitely remember more and more villains in this one because there's so many villains here that last 2 to 5 episodes. I kind of dug Reggie Lee, of Pirates of the Caribbean fame's asshole character in seasons 2 and 3, but his character was just kind of just there to taunt. He wasn't really the big face of the puzzle, the one traitorous Asian guy who for some reason is somehow on Michael and Sarah's yacht without them realizing he's there. That's the only moment where I take points off for the show. I'm like, how do you not hear him coming up right behind you? It's called PIS, plot induced stupidity. Actual phrase that a lot of video gamers use, but it honestly is the definition of every action movie ever. There's good PIS for me and there's bad. That was the only bad one for me. The PIS in this season pays off for me just with all the other betrayals. And so then we cut to the final break. A TV movie broadcast in the UK and which was released as a direct-to-video follow-up movie here in the States. And I saw this instantly. Unfortunately, it's really a shame that for whatever reason they don't have these in the same Blu-ray box sets. Like you have to buy it separate. And it just wasn't all that heavily promoted, which is weird. Like you think they should have just, it's like they were satisfied with the initial ending and it's like they somehow weren't sure that people would accept this. This is a really cool movie. It's basically, it was 2 episodes. They edited it together. Half the actors aren't credited it because they're like, it's all stock footage. Well, it's not stock footage, but it was taken from 2 episodes. So some weird editing reason. In this one, basically Mahone is rejoining the FBI.
Yeah.
And oh, that's right. Sarah gets arrested and framed for a crime, and she ends up in the same prison as where Gretchen is. And it's just this is right after she and Mike have just been married, so it's already, again, you get some cool moments with Amari Nolasco's Fernando. He gets some cool scenes, but Mahone actually gets really good redemption here because he's like, I'm going to help keep the FBI off you guys. I'm going to give you plans to get out of the prison. It's a really good standalone movie. Obviously, for people who aren't familiar with it, you're going to have to fill in some blanks, but it picks up right instantly after, with the mom getting shot, all that shit. And basically, Lincoln has to parachute. Wait, no. I might be thinking about it the wrong way. Let me look up. Sorry. This has really been fun talking about this, by the way.
Very intriguing.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, Sarah just has a crappy lawyer, everything. But yeah, Teabag has to be sent in to just kind of deal with this prison. He's once again blackmailed, and Michael knows he's going to betray him, but he has another plan in bounds. But yeah, Michael has Lincoln get him a private plane with Mahone's help, private jet plane, and basically Mike has to parachute into the prison. I kid you not. And just the way they do it, you just buy into it. It's like this is Just Cause, the video game, before there was such a thing. It's kind of like the video game Mercenaries. Even they just flat out you jump into it. It's also at night. It's not like they're going into a war-torn country. It's like, no, they're in American prison. But yeah, basically they try to get Sarah on just old charges. It's like, you're the reason this all happened to begin with, because you were the prison doctor. So this is where, hats off to the writers who took this over. Nick Santora, who is later created the TV show Scorpion, and also wrote for Lie to Me, Law and Order, and The Sopranos, and even Punisher Warzone. So got a full comic. And Karen Usher, who wrote a big chunk of season 4. Hats off to her, because previously she wrote for every other CW, WB crappy teen show. But someone had to do it. She's best known for other shows like Touch and The People versus Larry Flint, and even the show Backstrom. But yeah, here she leaves her mark, and it's really cool just seeing her. All these writers just blend their head into just a perfect blender. And the longtime directors of this, Brad Turner, who had worked on Stargate, SG-1 and 24, and Kevin Hooks, who had done awesome movies like Black Dog, and with Patrick Swayze, and Passenger 57 with Wesley Snipes. So he knows his action. Those movies are actually pretty similar to Prison Break if you think about them really hard. Federal marshal stopping unusual career criminals, truckers, on the run, fugitives on the run. So there you go. That's why you have all these people who've been in the industry so long, just coming up with just another standalone cool thing. Now, it's really cool. Like, as a standalone movie, it really does work well for non-fans, but it also works well for fans of us, just because it's just a little fun stand on. It's like, okay, still embracing the. Have you seen this? I hope I'm not giving this all away.
It's been a long time, but yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Sarah's pretty much having to just survive every, killer bitch in this whole prison. But this is not, a really bad, exploitation movie. Once again, it's pretty well done. There's a surprising amount of blood in one cool fight scene, where Gretchen just flat out just impales someone on one of those towel racks. They do it without being graphic, but you just see the blood on the wall. It's like, ooh, that person's dead. A real scene stiller here is Big Daddy. She's like basically the main head bitch in this prison, and she's played by veteran character actress Lori Petty, who is Keanu Reeves's surfer girlfriend in Point Break. She's in A League of Her Own, Free Willy, all that. So she's another one of those character actresses, been around forever. But it's funny I bring up Point Break. Point Break, Heat, and Training Day are definitely the kind of movies that I get reminded of when I watch this show.
Yeah.
If they weren't, if anything, they were kind of inspired by or had similar marketing. I definitely will say, people getting into this, if you like those movies, do not hesitate. You will definitely like this show.
Definitely.
Definitely, if you wanted Point Break or and some of the criminals from Heat and crooked authority figures from Training Day to all be in one giant ass, 5-year movie together. This is so there you go. So it just gets even more kind of, the suspense just ratchets it up at 89 minutes. Hell, that's just 1 minute under just an hour and a half. There's just more and more plot twists held in, and you just kind of buy into it, because when has Michael not always had these kind of plot twists? It's a lot of fun just seeing him try and get his wife Sarah out of there, but I like how it's just kind of a final farewell to Gretchen, but I also like how, again, you see the general being executed, or stock footage of him at least. But also, this is where it gets really convoluted for me, because at this point, everyone thought Michael had died. And see, what's funny is they heavily played up in the previews when the show ended that he was likely going to die. And I mean, they show his tombstone and everything, or some shit, like show him fainting, and everyone thought that's how he had died. And it's like, I guess the creators thought there's no way they're going to accept it that way. So I guess that's why they took these 2 episodes, they broadcast them internationally, and then they edited them together as a direct-to-video movie here for US and Canada and Japan. So it was a weird way to do it. I can't necessarily say I fault them, and I'm not here to be an ass kisser. I understand it. I guess they figured they must have done a test screening and said, we're going to have a divided audience. Why? Let's not do that. Let's not be like Lost. Let's not be like, well, hell. To be fair, the way 24 originally ended, I thought was pretty lame, until they fortunately brought it back 5 years later. But same thing here. And so it's very confusing for me, because when season 5 arrives, they show this scene where you think Michael has electrocuted himself to death in the flashbacks. And it's like, well, that had to be confusing for some people, because, that wasn't broadcast in the States. They just saw that, oh, he fainted. He had some like allergic reaction or some shit, and he died. It's like, no, that's how they thought he died. And so, but it's pretty minor. It's a very cool standalone escapes mini movie, and it's, if you want to even just get people into watching it, I would highly recommend if you do watch parties at your house, at least when COVID frees up, definitely show this movie to your friends and have a lot of fun with it. Now, fun fact, just looking at some of the other writers who worked on this, just because I admire a lot of what they put into it. A lot of them ended up working on shows like The River, the Prison Break creators' other conspiracy show, 0 Hour, and even Netflix's Lost in Space, Once Upon a Time. But the real kicker for me is co-writer Kalinda Vasquez, who came up with the story for this, for at least was also a head writer on the similar shows Nikita and Human Target. So she definitely was just very inspired by gotta have anti-heroes, crime fighters.
How'd you like that show, Nikita?
I highly recommend that if you're into Prison Break. That, to me, I'll do you one better. I feel like this Prison Break, Person of Interest, and Nikita are all in the same universe, because they all play by the same kind of rule breaking, so to speak. They all have assassins and just unlikely people teaming up together and going against just crooked, everybody. Crooked prison people, crooked federal people, crooked politicians, and suffering great tragedies, always on the run, always having to learn that they probably are just not going to ever have a happy ending. And that's what kept people just coming back because they just like never seen such a depressing yet very intriguing comic book type world. And I think that is the best way to accept this. Accept this as a comic book. Otherwise, you're just going to be a killjoy, and you're just going to piss off other people who are in the same room who are enjoying it. I have to say also the poster to this, I like it, but it's kind of awkward the way it's framed. Like, I did not in the longest time think that was Sarah on the cover. For some reason, I thought that was some other new assassin. The final break. Now, I think that's the only thing bullshit I have to say about this. The final break, they should not have called that. I understand why they did say that, but come on. It was not going to be the final break. Eventually, someone was going to ask to bring the show back. So I guess we're ready to move on to season 5, which came out, Jesus, 8 years later. Yeah, 2017. So same year as the final incarnation of 24. The creator decided, let's just do a 9-episode run, the shortest runtime out of all the show. Let's have Michael is actually alive. He's in the Middle East, and it's set in where is it set? Morocco. Yeah. And I kid you not, they play a bunch of Casablanca type music, much like in Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. And it's definitely the coolest poster out of all these. It's a lot of people bash this one for whatever reason. The attention did not grab. Now, I will admit, if you are not at all familiar with this, just don't even bother. If you are, jump on board, because you're going to like some of the new prisoners, you're going to like some of the new assassins, or you might not, but it's still a lot of fun, I found. Yeah. But so yeah, the allies in this one, once again, C-Note has returned. He's a Muslim. He's one of the main connects against Lincoln to join the whole team. And Sarah, once again, gets more running action, having to avoid a bunch of assassins. Once again, we got I don't know what it is with this show, just having all these presumably gay assassins and unusual suspects. But yeah, we have all these other actors, all these other war criminals and priests. It's, for me, this was Spot the Villain from the Olympus Has Fallen franchise. Because I kid you not, yeah, they got Waleed Zwatar, who's one of the bad guys in London Has Fallen, and then they got Rick Yoon, who, I mean, obviously his connection is the producers work with him on Fast and Furious, but I mean, he was the main awesome Kang villain in the first Olympus Has Fallen, so he's the Korean guy who goes his own way at the end and is all high and shit. But yeah, this one I actually do like because this hits so close to home. In between the season 4 and 5, Wentworth Miller was just, he was on the Legends of Tomorrow show. He and the actor Dominic Purcell, who played, his brother Lincoln on this, were on Legends of Tomorrow on that. So, but even before that, he was, he was doing a lot of screenwriting and producing. He just had a bunch of other just kind of health issues and gained some weight. And then he suffered a bunch of depression because, it's just been a childhood thing. And he had to form a suicide prevention timeline when he just saw people talking shit about how he had gained some weight. And it's sad that it had to get to that, but it's also just kind of just annoying that, I mean, someone just decided, let's pick on him. Now, good news is he did do a bunch of other stuff. Less said about Resident Evil, the better, but he's in a really cool role in this psychological thriller called The Loft, which I think he also co-produced.
Nice.
He had guest starred briefly on a few other shows. I remember him from the pilot of Ghost Whisperer as a haunted Marine ghost. And, he did some other voiceovers and different Law and Order roles, but and music video appearances, but I definitely applaud his role on. I remembered him even before this show for the Dinotopia miniseries in Jonah Arcadia, but he and the Prison Break actors ended up being in this other wacky crime action short film called 2 Hours to Vegas, which there's this other one I also can't remember the name of, but you can YouTube them and they're just a lot of fun and fun escapism. But yeah, so this was a cool comeback role for him. My mother ended up watching a interview with him where he talked about how this is where he finally, just made peace with how, he was a openly gay celebrity. He felt comfortable not only in that skin, but just much like it's like he was comfortable already being the leading man on this show. So he was comfortable just being more open about his life and actually doing something with it, just inspiring other people who had faced his real life tragedies. And I think this is definitely the most personal season to him because, him and Purcell are, by this point, executive producers. And at one point, one of the prisoners is being picked on in the Morocco prison because he's gay. So there you go. He's the Yemen prison, my bad. And so there you go. A lot of this shit hits close to home. And I can't say this prison is that imaginative or that intriguing, but the shit that goes on is definitely cool at first. And it wisely moves out of it. It goes from being a war zone to then being another just kind of Die Hard on a boat kind of thing, and then just some other just stuff. Now at this point, Teabag is not the same as he's been in the other movies. At this point, he has replaced his arm that went missing. He's doing some other shit. And well, what's your take on this? I fortunately was able to watch all 5 seasons back to back, so I didn't have to wait years.
Yeah, I had to wait 7 years, 5 years maybe to watch it. But
yeah,
I thought it was
about 8 years. Yeah. So yeah.
Considering it took 9 years off to do it, it still wasn't able to capture my attention. But maybe I don't know. Maybe I should have left it alone.
It didn't feel like it added much to the mythos, and I'll half agree with you there. It was fun to see a continuation, but it didn't really. I kind of liked how
but it was unnecessary. It was fun, but
fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So I guess let's rank the seasons.
Overall, the show, what do you all time?
One of your all-time favorites, and I'm with you there. It's a 5. It's a 5 out of 5 star classic for me. Any wrongdoing they've done, they still did it way better than a bunch of other shows that jumped the shark way earlier in their runtime. They didn't have to rely on who was sleeping with who was trying to kill who. They went a step further and just were comfortable building their own world, their own escapes, their own villains, their own turning point for all these various characters. And that was what makes it rock for me. This is what makes me come back and rewatch clips from it, even just rewatch seasons from this point on.
Sure.
Unfortunately, much like I've been reviewing the seasons of 24 in separate episodes. I have to say, they've been teasing season 6 on the interwebs, but Fox has just not said anything about it. And since they're now owned by Disney and kind of threw out most of the TV department,
Foxes?
Yeah, Fox is now owned by Disney because they wanted to own X-Men and make it part of Avengers, all that Marvel bullshit. But honestly, I think they also just wanted to own everything, all the other cartoons. So the creator Paul T. Schwerin on Twitter did tease that he would bring Mahone back for season 6. I don't think we're going to ever get a season 6. I would love a season 6, but I don't think we'll get it. It's just, it's not that the interest isn't there for the fans. The interest just isn't there for the studio. It's just because I don't know what's going through their minds. It's like they don't think like CBS or ABC. They just want new shit every season. And it's like, I can't tell you the last time I watched Fox, maybe one of those 911 Lone Star shows, but I mean, you need something more than Family Guy. I like Seth MacFarlane, but you need something more. And you got to just get people to watch it. And CBS has already been kind of a joke because they just relied on just long running sitcoms and procedurals. And they're still kind of wiping the floor with these fascinating, FBI shows. And then, NBC has the, This Is Us and the Chicago shows. So why can't Fox, just bring this or another standalone spinoff of 24 back? And see, I really do think, in my mind, 24 and Prison Break are in the same universe. They have not only some of the same cinematographers, and directors and writers even. No, not writers. I scratched that. But I find so many of their characters so similar. They have all these anti-heroes, and they let the viewer make up their mind. Obviously, they're not part of Breaking Bad, but I would not be against that. That would be cool if they had been part of the Breaking Bad universe. It's just Breaking Bad is just kind of more psychological, and then there's like 5 episodes each season of action. But it's more Godfather Sopranos-ish. Yeah. It's more Soprano. It's even more Sopranos than The Sopranos. That's how.
Yeah.
It's not as good as The Shield or The Wire, in my opinion, but it's pretty damn close. I don't know if you ever saw The Wire or The Shield.
The Shield? Is that? Oh, really? When does that come out? Like 05 too, right?
Oh, that's ran from 02 to 08. That was
02.
You can find that on virtually every streaming network: Crackle, Hulu, Prime. Sure. I will give you the entire box set if you want it. It's one of the best shows of all time.
Okay.
But it always had a rivalry with The Wire. That Baltimore crime show with Idris Elba and Michael K. Williams. I don't know if you ever saw that.
I haven't seen that, no.
Oh man, if you like Breaking, it definitely Breaking Bad would not exist without The Wire. I'll give you that. But it and The Shield always kind of had a rivalry. 24 and Prison Break, I don't think they really had a rivalry. They, in many ways, were appealing to the same crowd as that and Lost and maybe even Criminal Minds, but they were all just kind of, they were on at the same night. I would always see ads for it, 24 followed by Human Target and, 24 followed by Prison Break after a new episode of House. And, funny enough, Dr. House could probably actually survive pretty well in either of these universes. He's cynical enough. He's done some illegal shit at one point in his life. Yeah. But I refer mainly to 24 because you got people like Tony Almeida and Jack Bauer, definitely when he goes Renegade and Fugitive, much like Jack Bauer was kind of the good guy version of Mahone, and Tony Almeida was kind of Mahone's lesser side in later seasons, but similar arc where he has to get revenge for his wife. So there you go. And so because they do similar stuff with him that they do with T-Bag and all that shit, where he's working with mercenaries, and he's clearly not happy to be doing it, but it's part of what he does so that he can eventually circle back and help the main heroes get revenge on the main bad guy using his legal resources. I think those guys could definitely do something cool with it. You could definitely say, I mean, 24 had so many similar shady companies that were like the company. And so that's why in my mind, they are definitely, they're both owned by Fox. They are definitely in the same universe. Hell, there was supposed to be a 24 Die Hard crossover movie that never happened, unfortunately, but they could have done a Die Hard Prison Break crossover movie, and that would have been amazing. John McClane is in prison. So that's all I got for it. This spawned, touching on the various spin-off material, much like 24, they did Proof of Innocence, which was a it was a deal made between Toyota, and they just streamed this online series, much like 24 had a mobile episode series through like either Sprint, through Verizon Wireless. So you definitely see a bit of in-movie advertising with Prison Break, like some Verizon or AT&T stuff, but it's very brief. Most of the time, you're just seeing Michael open up a flip phone. There was a video game called The Conspiracy. Did you ever play that game? I always saw walkthroughs of it. It was pretty cool because basically you play as this guy who's part of the company and you help these guys, you know, the main characters all survive in the prison, and all the cast members pretty much contributed their voices. But it was mostly just a standalone video game and more similar to Prison Break. There was this one video game. I'm looking it up now. And it was said to where you could play as your own spy. And it was by Sega, and it was a really cool video game. And basically you got to design your own spy, be your own fighting moves. But they said like you were like a mixture of Jack Bauer, Jason Bourne, and James Bond. But the whole storyline itself, they said, was inspired by Prison Break, and I thought that was cool. I have that video game with me somewhere. I gotta remember, what is the name of it? No, not Get Smart. That would be funny. Shit. Looking it up now. Sega video game spy. Not Spy Hunter. Alpha Protocol. That was the name of it.
Alpha Protocol.
It came out in 2010. I used to play a shit ton of it. It was developed by Obsidian, who had done stuff like Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic and Outer Worlds and Pillars of Eternity, so they were used to all the RPGs. I played the shit out of it. But yeah, they said, yeah, it was inspired by other spy movies like Syriana, Ronin, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And you got to use a mix of stealth, and you could also upgrade your character, buy credits and all that. So you could decide, for instance, that your character was like, I got so sick of picking locks, so I ended up making my character be able to break through locks. Like, you know, the more you level up, the more experienced they are at things, to where it's just a simple tap of the button. The storyline itself wasn't all that interesting, but I mean, just the gameplay itself was a lot of fun. It's kind of got a better user score than it does a critic score, but I mean, it's worth the gameplay if you're bored and you want something on the dollar bin shelf. They was supposed to have a sequel, but it never did. But I have it with me somewhere. I might just take it out. I won't likely, but if I wanted to, I could. So other than that, oh, sorry, forgot to mention.
What's good? What's good? What's good? What's in your mind?
There was the spinoff show Breakout Kings that aired on A&E cable network for 2 seasons.
Oh, that sounds like a pretty good show to me.
Yeah. It was definitely more like Burn Notice.
Right. How many seasons is it?
Yeah, just 2 seasons, and they're each like 8 to 10 episodes. They're very brief, and it didn't that one. I felt like you could skip over a few episodes and not miss much, but it's worth a watch if you're just a action crime junkie like us, and you just want. It wasn't the same creators, but it was the same writers and producers. I didn't think it was half bad. You can watch that on Hulu right now if you want. I didn't think it was as good as the other A&E shows that were on at around the same time, like The Cleaner and The Longmire and what's the other one? The Beast, which was Patrick Swayze's final role as a crooked FBI agent fighting crime. But it was still, it was a lot of fun. It definitely one of the better shows of the network. But yeah, Teabag, the character, appears in one key episode, and they heavily promoted it too. Like he was each newspaper article or magazine that I saw reviewing it, he was on the cover, and so that's what created some confusion for me at first. It was like, wait, is that the dude from who's on the Prison Break show? And so they really could have benefited had they just said, in the same universe as Prison Break. But instead, as far as they went was from the writers or producers, creators of Prison Break. That was it. That someone doing the marketing should have just said, set in the same universe. It would have gotten way more people.
Yeah.
Apparently, it had a tie-in novel called The Classified FBI Files, and much like 24, it was just kind of unused backstory that was just for fans of the show to read while they waited in between seasons. They apparently had a behind-the-scenes companion book, again, much like 24, where the writers and the filmmakers weigh in with awesome, high definition photographs. There was apparently a manga of this that came out last year. Yeah. Apparently there was also a live attraction tour by Sudden Impact that toured throughout the US, Mexico, China, Germany from 06 to 08.
Okay.
Yeah. That might have been at something like Six Flags. It definitely wasn't at Disneyland or Orlando Universal. But yeah, before the conspiracy video game, there was apparently another video game that was supposed to come out for the 360 and PS3, but it was shut down when the game company shut down. There is a Russian international remake adaptation of this. That's right, Law and Order. You're not the only one that gets remade overseas.
Let them know.
Stuck at office. 2010 it was adapted, and according to the Wikipedia page, it says used many of the features of the original show with some scenes and dialogue copied completely, but it introduced, much like the Indian and Japanese version of 24, it introduced new storylines or just blended characters together. So I wouldn't be surprised if Sarah or Gretchen are the same person, or they blended, Lincoln with C-Note or something. I don't know. So, yeah, I've been talking so long, I'm putting my throat out. Better get some water. I better get some water so I don't get corona. I guess I knew so many people who watched it, but didn't really talk about it much. And now I'm seeing there is a huge fan base for it, apparently. I think the show got its bang for its buck. It did everything it set out to do. I guess what really is a bigger question is, did it pay off? I say it did pay off. I would say this show is way more inspirational than people want to give it credit for, because like I said before, I see its influence on Nikita and Person of Interest. Shows that both decided, let's just stick with a season 4 or 5 run, and then let's, just keep changing the game, so to speak. Keep having there a reason that you come back for this all. Like, season 1 is introducing the premise. Season 2 is having a direct continuation. Season 3 changes it all up. Like, everything that all happened before is no more. Like, the characters lose all their technology. They lose their din of operation. And then season 4 is wrap it up. Now they're all wanted. Now they're all, moving targets. What can they do next? And it really, I follow everything that these actors are in. They are just sweethearted people. They are all just really, the Sarah gal, she was on this one show called Council of Dads that unfairly got canceled. But before that, she was on, again, she's another member of the show that ended up being on the Walking Dead franchise, or at least the first few seasons. And then she's been in a lot of movies. Dominic Purcell, I'd have been a fan of before because he was on the similar show John Doe, and he was in Blade Free. He was in a bunch of other cult movies. This definitely gave him a bigger career booster where people said, okay, he really is deep. He doesn't have to keep playing a henchman or a freedom fighter. He can do a little more. William Fichtner, I'd already known from every other Jerry Bruckheimer movie, like Black Hawk Down, Armageddon, and, the Mahone actor. But he's another one. He, believe it or not, Kim Coates, the other guy from Sons of Anarchy who plays the good FBI agent checking in on him. They were recently in a movie together, which Fichtner directed.
Really?
Let me look up. Yeah. Let me look up what it's called. It was like National Treasure or Night at the Museum, but minus talking toys or any violence. It was just kind of a weird kind of fantasy movie where they see the ghost of this former slave is like caught in a different timeline. And so to put him at peace, they basically have to move a certain scripture. It's a really, really neat storyline. And it's called Coldbrook, and he also co-wrote it and directed it. It was doing the rounds at the festivals, and it has a very high user score. I ended up showing it to my mother, and I recommended it to a few other friends, and they were just all like, they were all just in agreement. It's just like, that movie stuck with me. I can't explain it, but it's a really neat, just pleasant fantasy dramedy. It's just really good. But yeah, since then, Fichtner, he's been in just so many other movies. I remember him from one of his best recent movies that he did that was also a prison movie is OG, Original Gangster. It's another maximum security prison movie, but he's definitely not one who's been typecast. He's been in some other good stuff recently, like Armed, All the Devil's Men.
Oh yeah,
Finding Steve McQueen. He's just really good at as far as I'm concerned, he is the next Steve McQueen. He's just always been that guy, and he's been one of the few actors to successfully kind of just merit going between main and supporting roles, and you never hear anything bad about him. Never.
Sure.
He's just the right kind of private, the right kind of professional, and we need more people like that. And unfortunately, there's just not enough. So what are some other shows that are similar to this that you would recommend? I, for one, say that if you like shows like Power, which is recently launching its first of many spinoffs, you're gonna like this. How about you?
Ozark.
What are-
You seen the Ozark?
Yeah, Ozark's definitely a good comparison to this. If you just want something that's a little more surreal and very layered without feeling like rushed or nonsensical. It's just the great kind of escapism. And it's really good at just also just making you feel invited to just lose yourself and just give it a go.
Awesome.
And I mean, obviously Breaking Bad, yeah, it's definitely a good comparison. I know a lot of people are like best show of all time. Yes, it is. But I find so many parallels between some of the characters in this and the lawyer Saul on his own spinoff show, because don't get me wrong, they're two different oysters, but they still will appeal to certain crowds just because they have the same kind of just keep you watching kind of momentum. And I mean, Saul is definitely, if you changed the tone and the mood, it would definitely fit right at home in that universe, because Saul would have gotten them out of prison in a heartbeat by pulling some strings.
Definitely.
Saul would have been the guy who would have pissed someone off, would be fighting 5 different lawsuits. Oh.
What else?
Oh, gee. You mentioned Ozark, which is a good parallel. We mentioned Nikita. Person of Interest definitely is the main closest one, because that one, was by Jonathan Nolan, creator of the new Westworld and Memento, co-writer of Dark Knight with his brother Chris, who does all the. But that one was also cool because it just felt like they mixed in elements of Minority Report, Inception, and same kind of deal. These guys have a supercomputer, a super network. They're not good guys, but they're cool anti-heroes. And basically the whole NYPD is crooked for the most part, and they're working with a good cop played by Taraji P. Henson. And I find that one superior to this. Don't get me wrong. These are both 5 out of 5 star shows for me, because they, much like Oh, that's another good one. Human Target, which came on after Prison Break ended, but was very similar. Just the whole private security guard company guys who are basically bodyguards, and they go by their own rules. But I mean, Person of Interest is definitely the closest you're going to find. Just people who, it does a better job of escapism, because much like The Dark Knight and Inception, they just invite you to just kind of have a larger than life experience, and it's a love letter to mystery movies. Mm-hmm. But like if you just don't want to rewatch Prison Break, but you want something similar, that is the closest one you're going to find, because you just got so many subplots that are still organized and make perfect sense without confusing you. You have multiple favorite characters who all have quotable, darkly humorous moments, and just excellent action. Just, you're going to remember so many different fight scenes. Definitely even better car chases. That was the only gripe I had throughout both seasons 2 and 3 of Prison Break. There were some really poorly shot car chases, in my opinion. I get why they did it, because they just wanted to move the story along, but I would watch them now, and it's like, it was just really cheesy looking green screen, or just very, very uninspired the way it was shot, to where it's like, just don't show them in the car at all, please. I'll let you off the hook because at least they crashed and they're trying to survive, and then it just cuts to them running away on foot. But honestly, I would have rather just have heard, a fade to black, heard a bunch of noises like, whoa, whoa, what the hell? Shit like that. And they didn't even do that. So, Billy, where can we find you on the interweb? You doing anything?
Any what?
Anything you want to promote? Any music?
Any music?
I don't know. I'm just asking.
Not really. I'm not trying to make anybody richer. I'm just kidding.
I hear you're a dangerous man with some money in your pocket. Keep up.
There goes Bruno Mars. Shout out Bruno Mars. Yeah. Check us out online, on Doug.com.
For sure.
And, Instagram at Calidelic. We have some, products. If you like what you see, we can get you a shirt or, whatever you like. We can make it happen, customize.
You want to play him at a game of, I don't know, some video game, he might take you up on it.
Okay.
Speaking of video games, I think Prison Break will definitely appeal to people who are fans of those Hitman video games, and definitely if you're a fan of Splinter Cell, because Splinter Cell kind of had a similar concept to where it's just so criminal that they have not figured out how to make a movie version of that. Because I love those video games. Those video games, I think that's why I resonate with this Prison Break show, because it's a similar kind of thing. Just the whole read between the lines and just make up your own rules. So that's all, folks. This has been really fun recording this. Has it been? Oh my God, has it been 2 hours? Yeah, it feels like we've been doing this for about 3 hours now. So, gee, that's a mouthful. So I look forward to editing it down.
Okay.
Thanks for joining me in on this. If you want to do any other just chat about books, games, movies, cartoons, joking around, let's do it.
Yeah, we should do another episode.
You got quite the beard going there now.
It's coming well. It's coming together.
Really? It's just
this
been
is
cool.
how I was born. Okay. I see you. I like the flex game. Oh yeah. Another good TV show, Money Heist.
Benny Heist.
Money Heist.
Oh, money. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I can't believe I forgot to mention that. I've seen a lot of people compare the main protagonist of that show to Mike Schofield.
Yeah.
Because he breaks him out of prison.
Yeah.
And I think they even say he has similar kind of eye motion. He's more of a wise ass.
Yeah, he is. He likes to go like this to his glasses.
In fact, now that I think about it, I don't know if you probably don't have cable or Hulu. I can give you my Hulu login.
Yeah, I do have Hulu actually. Yeah.
Okay. You should check out Homeland. That is also
Homeland.
They don't directly compare it to that, but that one's pretty cool in that you got this bipolar CIA agent who. There's a reason it lasted 8 seasons. You mentioned Ozark. Those two, Ray Donovan, and definitely, Breaking Bad, just all feel like they could all be part of the same universe, even Criminal Minds, because they show you just the rare, just disturbing, but just enough to get you interested as opposed to just turn you off. Escapism, you got, this bipolar CIA agent who just finds that all her colleagues, have a different idea. Like half the time they're betraying each other. One of them's writing a treaty without the other knowing. or just to save the U.S. face, but it's really not solving any war. But it's not even just the stop the terrorism. Like the terrorism almost always just comes in the final act, like the final 4 episodes, and the rest is all just, you know, how do I stop my mind from going ape shit? How, you know, have I taken my pills? Is this my final mission? You know, can I break this guy who's connected to all these people? And but like at first, it definitely has a lot of shady kind of similar Prison Break stuff because like this Marine comes home and they have to figure out, is he with the enemy or is he just damaged goods? You know, he's a hero, and it is really even trickery. But I like how he looms over the whole show, despite only being in the first 3 seasons. But it keeps getting more and more ratcheted. Like, I'm sorry, Carrie is one of the main real heroes of the world, who no one is ever going to think. And much like Schofield, kind of has to be a fugitive half the time by people who want to take advantage of her lesser condition. So again, more motivation to help, to root for someone who can't defend themselves, who has everyone working against them. And I mean, they have every kind of reason because of, you know, mental disorder, drug disorder, ginger card. You know, they are always going against her, and you want to root for her to get out of it because she doesn't fight back. She plans her way out and may or may not kill one of the bad guys. But yeah, like Ozark, it does have those just quiet, uneasy moments where you're like, I just know someone is going to bite off someone's head here by episode 7. Breaking. Are there any other favorite roles of these actors that you've seen them in? Like, I know I mentioned earlier that C-Note was later, I think, one of the federal agents on Sons of Anarchy, if I'm not mistaken.
Was he? I'm not sure. I don't know.
I think so. Rockman Dunbar. Obviously, I'm Team Whitworth. I think I have seen him recently on that spy political drama show, Madam Secretary, where he played this opposing congressman trying to blackmail her. So yeah, it was cool to see my boy Mike be a badass. Different kind of badass, be just a very smooth talker saying, that is absolute bullshit. You know, just, you're going down. Like, he's just putting her full blast. Mike Schofield is usually the one on trial. He's flat out putting her on trial, and it was just interesting just seeing him just be this smooth shit talker. Just I mentioned all the other main guys. Once again, Amari Nolasco, Fernando. He's just almost always just I can, if I were to go on his resume now, I've seen pretty much every other movie he's in just because he's done so much. But I recall him being a highlight. He's been in just a lot of underrated dramas as well, and he's just always just kind of, he just always seems comfortable in everything he's in. And I think he's also just kind of an underrated Latino actor, I would say, because, you know, don't get me wrong, there's plenty to choose from, but so many of them often just go for kind of like the John Leguizamo kind of, you know, stand-up kind of comedy guy, or they go for kind of the, you know, every other Breaking Bad kind of role, where it's like, got to be a gangster, got to be a cop, got to be just some kind of badass. They go for the Danny Trejo role. And fortunately, a lot of these actors just, they have really good agents, and I think the show gave them some freedom to just pick a lot of roles. They always are in, like, doing like 5 guest appearances every other year, and then starring in 1 or 2 movies, and then definitely being considered for the next fall season of a show. and they're always just very active with their fans. I think that's why everyone likes them even more. They're just, you can have a normal conversation with them as opposed to just go up and be like, well, that was kind of loopy, that was kind of loony, you know? No, once again, brother, thank you for being on here. And
thank you for having me.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up review show.